Yeah. Holy shit.
Welcome back, folks, to the VHS Vault. I'm one of your hosts, VHS Jason. Next to me is the great Jason Rogaston.
Greetings.
And it's one of those episodes on the VHS Vault where we get to choose what movies we want to kind of watch. And this week,
that is correct.
This episode happened to land on me. And I chose a film from the 80s, which I had a lot of affection for. So I thought it's worth go back revisiting. Blind Fury.
I've never heard of it until just a couple of weeks ago when you were like, I want to do Blind Fury. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So
he's thinking, is this a movie about Australian spiders? What the hell is he going to show me?
So how did you become acquainted with this particular pellicula?
It was, it was just a video shop find back in the day, you know, those days when, just because I had no life, trawling at your local video shop looking for something to watch. And I came across this. And the name that jumped out to me most was the star of this movie, Rutger Hauer, however you say his name.
I've been calling him Rutger Hauer for years, so I'm glad I've never met him. Because hey, Mr. Hauer, I'm sorry, who? I don't know who Rutger is.
Well, his name stood out to me because I'd known him of a couple of films prior, which I had a strong affection for. One, obviously, being Blade Runner, which is absolutely phenomenal in that. And another movie I loved him in called The Hitcher, C. Thomas Howell.
Oh, yeah, I know The Hitcher, yeah.
Yeah, plays a madman on the road who is absolutely phenomenal in that. So I'm like, oh, well, you know, Blind Fury, this guy is creepy. It'll be like effed up. I will love this thing. And it turned out to be this charming action adventure movie. Like I loved it back then. And I, you know, it was on rewatch for a good 6 months. I would watch this continuously because for some reason, this violent film makes me feel good, Jason. It makes me, it's like a comfort blanket for me.
Well, it is definitely a violent action movie, but at the same time, there is this undeniable wholesomeness to it. I'm just gonna spill the beans right now. I loved this movie. I thought it was just absolutely terrific. So thank you for introducing it to me. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those rare action films where you pair the protagonist with an annoying kid, and my God, is he annoying? But it still works. And yeah, I like that. Take that, cop and a half.
Yeah, look, you got to give it all to Rutger because you are rooting for him. Like instantly, he becomes charming because this film does something that I love, and that is they use credit sequences at the beginning to give you the key exposition you need to set you up for the film. So this film starts with a wonderful montage. In the sense, it's just efficient and it tells us a lot. And by the time directed by is hit on the screen, you're kind of already locked in with this character. You've already been part of a pre-journey before we actually start it. So I think that's one of the main reasons is this works is because of it's a very strong intro. And then the moment where we pan down from Miami, Florida, and he's wearing that goofy hat, I think we're kind of already behind the guy. So,
yeah, he is kind of established not only as a very capable person at the very beginning, but definitely somebody who you cheer for. Because, I mean, who else would you instantly get on board with than an injured soldier? Because and not only that, but somebody who's trying to come back from a debilitating injury. And I also liked it because it avoided the white savior syndrome. That he was not there to save the day. He was not there because he was awesome. He was there because he got into an accident and the natives took pity on him. And they're like, yeah, let's teach this guy not to die.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yes, so did I, very much so. It like I said, very violent scenarios that in other films they would play it to the obvious stereotypical violent end. But it's interesting that, you know, in this war-torn area that he's in well, I assume well, it is Vietnam, sorry. They bring hope and joy and humanity into that, which is something in all these Vietnam War films that we've been subjugated, especially in the 80s. They never really ever decided to insert humanity unless you're white, because only white people could have the humanity in those war pics. So it was just great.
It's either that or the Americans are absolute monsters who just like get a taste for blood and want to kill everybody.
Yes.
So I think
wearing necklaces of ears.
Yeah, think that I think that kind of establishes the tone of this movie, is that it is optimistic and it is saying these are good people facing, bad times and they're getting through it. And I just like that, because that's basically the theme of the movie, is that where our protagonist Rutger, where he is basically rescued by this tribe of indigenous, and I'm kind of ignorant on who the natives are, or who they represent. I'm ignorant of the indigenous people in that area, but how they rescue him, he eventually turns around and takes the skills that they taught him to rescue someone else. It's a pass it on type of action movie, and it's great.
And it's and it isn't against type too, because you know who else is in this film? Someone who generally plays a villain, always generally has a dark side to him. Terrence O'Quinn,
the worst admiral ever.
Right? And he plays like just a likable everyday guy in this one, which is hilarious as well. Other standouts I want to mention in this film is Randall Tex Cobb.
Yes.
Like it was he not just like born and of that time, and then he kind of disappeared, didn't he? I think
he really
passed
did,
away since. But he was always a standout, and you can tell he's having fun. He just likes being evil on film. It works for him. Noble Willingham, who plays the top evil old dude, the real bad guy, the guy at the end. He's been in everything as well. He's a character actor you've seen in everything.
Yes. If I can butt in for just a minute, Randall Tex Cobb is still with us. He is at the ripe old age of 71 years old, and still with us.
Oh, well, I take that back. Thankfully, excellent, fantastic. Somebody cast him in something. I would love to see him back again. Yeah, and the only other thing I want to note, that annoying kid that you mentioned earlier, did he look recognizable to you?
No, but I was mostly picturing him like getting torn apart by pit bulls most of the time.
Well, his real claim to fame was playing the teen heartthrob in Step by Step with Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers' sitcom of the 90s.
I remember Step by Step. What?
Yeah, they would all go on the roller coaster in the beginning when the pan out shot. It's just Step by Step. But yes, he was in that for 10 years, I think.
Yeah, that show lasted like far longer than what it probably should have. Yes.
Well, that was a show that was toxic, and you knew it's like smoking cigarettes watching that show. You know it's bad for you, but for some reason you'd get entranced and watch it when it came on TV. The dark,
it was like Full House
of television. Yeah. But anyway, that's what made up your cast. But it's a pretty simple story, this movie, and it's fun because of it. And this movie is going to be fun when the film opens up. He's walking along in Miami. He pokes around what is an alligator and goes, "Good doggy." And I'm like, yep, I'm in straight away.
I like to think he knew it was not a dog. That's just me. I think he knew.
He absolutely knew. And that's what's great about him. He lives his life like in a way, like at peace, whimsical way. Like he is happy to go along with the flow. And I suppose that comes from the confidence, because this guy is basically a master swordsman. Without question. And some of the cool things we see in this movie are not him fighting with the swords, but his ability to hear things and react things in everyday life.
Yeah,
Very
this
cool.
kind of reminds me of like an old kung fu movie where a blind master would suddenly appear and save the day or teach somebody a skill to help them save the day. It's just our blind master's just a nice guy and not a jerk like the blind masters usually are in
Well,
those movies.
you've tapped into something because this is based on a film called Zatoshi, which was which was part of a series of films in Japan in the 50s. So, so once you know that, oh well, this is based on a Japanese film from the 50s about a blind samurai. Absolutely makes sense. Another super interesting thing about this film, I also want to mention before we go back into the plot, is who produced this film. And sometimes you see people, you go, oh, well, they produced the film. This movie was produced by Tim Matheson. Now, if you don't know who Tim Matheson is, it's Otter from Animal House.
Yeah.
So just a nice little tidbit that Otter for Animal House produced this movie, which I thought was a cute little thing. But back to the film. Okay, there is an issue with that, and you mentioned it before. There is one kind of issue.
Oh, you know what? Before we get into that, you just reminded me. The great Meg Foster is also in this movie for a little bitty while, but my goodness.
A little bitty while.
She is so gorgeous. She is. Meg Foster's gorgeous. Her eyes are gorgeous. Anytime she's on screen, I'm just transfixed.
It's like the camera. She's got a magnet to the camera because she's just the camera just you don't want her. You could watch her for 12 hours sitting in front of a fireplace, like a background. She's captivated.
I could watch her staring at the camera for 5 hours, and then the climax is her lifting a cheek and farting, and just kind of doing that.
Take it there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I've got to go low. But yeah, Meg Foster is just such a striking woman. I would say that she's almost like old school Hollywood, like 40s, like a woman you would see in the 40s. Just stunning beauty.
Well, you've kind of set it up, Jace. Reveal what really is the issue with this film.
Oh my gosh, it was so dumb. I'm sorry. I loved this movie, but the protagonist, Rutger, not telling the kid that his mom was freaking dead until the worst possible time. That's like going out. It's like, okay, son, go play the best game of baseball you've ever played. Incidentally, your mom's dead. That's what it was. That's what it was.
It was pretty crazy, hey? And it's also some of the things where the cops are half interested in that relationship, but kind of not really. Like that kid in the beginning of the film is so visibly upset in that train station. That you thought it would have been, the cop would have hung around or somebody else would have said, look, this kid is in distress. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the 80s for you, You just went to the
kids were in
guy.
Distress all the time. That gives him character. It's fine. See, he's screaming his mom is dead. It's fine. He's dealing with it.
But yeah, it's the way that part of it is handled is kind of weird. I mean, the whole thing is rather shocking how she dies and everything. Like, it's quite a shocking scene. And it happens pretty well straight away, right?
I was not expecting it. I'll be honest. I was not expecting it. I was expecting Meg Foster to kind of accompany them at one point. And it's like, nope, no Evelyn in this movie.
Well, I think what works for it is that chef's kiss of 90 minutes long. My favorite thing about 80s films is generally everything's 90 minutes long. And because of that, we just get efficient storytelling. We just get straight into what the meat and bones of it. So I think the film still at this point in time works at a fairly decent pace. That also, I think, is supported by a couple of the goofiest, but yet highly entertaining henchmen in this film who get probably way more screen time than that pair really deserves. But I found myself enjoying Nick Cassavetes and the other guy who played the little mini guy in, Val Kilmer, Willow.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he one of the
Was he one of the brownies?
Yeah, I thought he was the brownie with Kevin. What's her name?
Yeah. I have not seen Willow in so long. I honestly don't even
I
remember
thought he
what they
was.
look like. Ooh,
But they're
that's a
great
future entry in the
entry
VHS vault. You just wait.
Yeah, but they're a great fun entry into this, and the way they're kind of buffooning still helps keep it light. And they have the funniest line in the movie for me, because I remember, probably not as funny now, but when I first saw it, I remember just in stitches, is the elevator moment. I can't repeat what they said, but they work in sync, put it that way.
Yes, that was
Remember
a
that?
great moment. How
I
did
forget
Rutger
that.
know where to shove his sword though? That's all I want to know. How did he
Oh.
hear the panel? Did he feel it earlier? Did I miss something?
Maybe it doesn't matter at
Mm,
that point, Jace. It doesn't
he's
matter at that point.
he's
He's
the
just a
blind
mystical being.
master.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what I do wonder though? With all this fun that we're having, they made this film, and I watched it again. I finished the film and I'm going, man, that ending's a bummer. And it is really the actual finite bow tie, finishing it off part of the film is incredibly sad and is not what you want. It's almost like the film denies you of the payoff. That, like, it
But
doesn't let you.
that is the genre, though.
Yeah,
He's Shane? Shane doesn't get to stay. Shane has
that's
to move
right.
on.
That's right. Which also says, man, I think they were trying to set up a series here. I think they
They
were
might have
taking
been.
an attempt of
It
like, let's get him in other, movies. But it didn't work because I think it was released the wrong time. Look, it only made, I don't know how much the budget was, but when you're only making $2.6 million at the box office in 1990, that's
ouch.
probably the reason. But it's one of those films, once it hit video, it started to develop that cult following. People enjoyed what it is. Yeah, look, it's just, I think people probably didn't rush and see it because Rutger Hauer's playing a good guy here, a highly likable good guy here. No one out there thought that of him beforehand.
Well, in
Every
fairness, it
other
is
film he's been in,
extremely against type for him. Very against type. I'm racking my brain trying to think of another time he played, somebody who was not a villain or at least a morally dubious person, and I honestly can't think of any right now.
I can't. Like, at that point,
I'm
and that's
sure
why
they're
it was
out
a bit
there.
tight. Yeah. And yeah. Also, funnily enough, this film's directed by Philip Noyce. Now, Philip Noyce is a
Noise.
Australian director. Noyce. Yep.
Noise.
There's an Aussie director who, excuse me, the American scene with a little Australian film called Dead Calm with Sam Neill and a major role for Nicole Kidman.
Oh,
One of
yeah,
her
I know that
breakout
one.
roles. Dead Calm. And then he went and did this afterwards. Ended up going to direct a couple of those Clear and Bearded Danger and Patriot games, the Jack Ryan films and Harrison Ford. Ended up having movies like Salt and that, a really good career. So, yeah, it
Nice.
was his big chance as well. So it was him. That's the gig where you take it, go, I've got to prove myself to the American audiences I can direct a film, which he can, just no one wanted to see it. So there you go. But yeah, what did you think of the sword fight at the end between really is somebody that was totally not set up in this film at all. Like, this dude's a ring-in, right? Like, we've got no reference point to a standby ninja somewhere else, but we've got the standby ninja at the last moment I don't even think the fights are that visually exciting. But it's still a little bit of fun.
I thought that it was highly reminiscent of a video game boss fight. Just,
Yes.
as you said, just appears out of nowhere, absolutely no context. There's absolutely no reason this person should be there, but they show up and they just do what they're supposed to do. And I was reading about this movie, and Rutger Hauer did say that one of the things about this movie that was the hardest thing to do was learn swordplay. And he was trained quite extensively, but he said that was the hardest thing to do. So maybe that's why the sword fights are not quite that extensive. Plus,
Well,
who's got that kind of budget?
You've got to learn how to sword fight, but he has to learn it peripherally, right? Because he's going to be blind. So he can't actually look at his targets in a sense. He needs to be looking into space while still performing those those moments. So it's probably extra hard for him.
And I can tell you, I have actually played a blind character on stage. Yep. It's hard. It's hard to stare off into nothing because you instinctively want to look. So I got nothing but mad respect for that.
Yeah. That's why most people who play blind people wear the sunnies just in case.
Yeah.
Did you wear sunnies in your role?
I did not. It was some people know this play. It was Extremities, and I was playing a would-be sexual assaulter who basically gets his ass kicked, gets sprayed in the face with bug spray, and then locked into a fireplace. Okay. And so I had like nasty like scars all over my face during the whole play. It was a really good play. Honestly, it's a horrible part, horrible human being.
Yeah,
but
like, that role.
Yeah,
I know what you'd be perfect for.
But it was funny because all the women who were on stage were like my best friends in the world at the time. So it was just like we'd do this horrible play about sexual assault and revenge and victim blaming, and then we'd get up. We go, hey, you guys want to go to IHOP and get some pancakes?
Yeah, that's it. That's the theater life, isn't it? So.
Of course, I'd still be going, I would love some IHOP. Oh, where are you?
Yeah. So it is a tough thing, and he did really well with these with most. Oh, like I said before, I think his standout moments are sometimes just him interacting with the world around him, and with this kind of, the force, like his ability to hear things and touch things and stuff like that.
He is very zen. He's a very zen human being. Like just somebody that you'd like to just have a coffee with and talk to.
Yeah. And somebody you want at the roulette table as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is fantastic. And a nice little moment there as well. But it's so 80s that it ends up really being at a casino face-off type of thing. It reminds me of like, where's Biff Tannen? Like,
was it the same building in Back to the Future 2?
Kind of feels a little bit.
I think it was. I think it was on that building on Fremont Street. Yeah.
Well, when it opens up and they're hanging him over the ledge, you can kind of go, oh, I think that might be the same thing.
Batman's in the corner like, I'm taking notes on this. I should stop it, but I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, but still the violence in this, I keep coming back to the violence because considerably compared to other features of the same kind of genre action and all that, it's not as violent, but me watching it again going, just generally at the decade and how nonchalant they treat the violence and the fact that sometimes it's just not effective. I feel like in the 90s, we kind of came back and found a way to make violence more impactful. But I felt this was very much, homogenized a lot of the violence. So, but I still loved it, but I just feel like there's no impact with it at all.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I fully agree. I think that it was a conscious choice, though. To make the movie a little bit more of a fantasy, a little bit more cartoony.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a little cartoony. It's a little fantastical, and that's fine. It's fine. It works for it.
Yeah, and maybe this film didn't need that because you had the threat of violence with Randall Tex Cop. Like, they established him very well to be an animal. Like, he wasn't a charming villain or a henchman that had a gimmick. He was just a monster. And maybe it's just the threat of that guy coming after you and things like that. Oh, the cornfield scene. I just want to point out the cornfield scene, which I still liked very much. I loved how they shot that. I love the idea of it. I love Randall Tex Cop being on the roof of that thing. I love how Rutger takes it down. Like, I think that's definitely a standout scene of the film too. And
that is one thing that I really miss about 80s and even early 90s movies is that they always had like an action set piece. It was like one location you got to get all these characters to, and then they have this very inventive action scene centered on this one place. And I'm not complaining about CGI. I'm just saying that I think that the more affordability of CGI has kind of killed that method of storytelling. It's kind of like the one big special effects shot in every movie that we used to see. is now gone because everybody can afford to put 200 special effects shots in there. And whenever 200 special effects shots are in there, none of them are special.
And especially with those big blockbusters too, because it's all about scope, isn't it? And sometimes you miss out all that tension of the claustrophobia of a cornfield. You know what I mean? And the fact that, you got a small location, but wow, you got a chance to make it really interesting.
I watched a movie recently called Clown in a Cornfield, or if you're watching this now, I saw it a month ago.
Okay.
We're recording these ahead of time. Oh, Battle Cats.
Yeah.
She just used my leg as a climbing post. And that was one thing that I was noticing while I was watching that movie was the corn makes it like very claustrophobic and like it's all pushing around you and everything. And I noticed the same thing from this movie too. Masterfully done.
Yeah. And was Clown in a Cornfield masterfully done, Jason?
It should have been better with that premise. Let me just say that. I was not sad I saw it, but at the same time I'm thinking, is this really it? Where it's just another slasher movie? It hits its stride a couple of times. There's a section where you have these three girls running, and during that time, it is both exciting and hilarious. Because at one point they run into a farmhouse and there's a rotary phone, and they're like, "Call 911!" And she's like, "What's wrong with this phone? I can't get it to work." But at the same time, it's not done in a stupid way, like, oh my god, these are the dumbest characters ever. It's just they just find something that they're not familiar with and they don't know how to use it. And it's just, the way it's done is hilarious.
Well, I always say this for films. If you just hammer it to us what this film is all about in the title, then you better bring the big guns, like Snakes on a Plane. You've told us there are snakes on a plane. You revealed the movie to us. I'm not just don't want a couple of snakes going down the aisle. You better bring it. Yeah. So that's what I would expect from Clown in a Cornfield. You've set up that big premise. You better bring it.
And they, I mean, to their credit, they bring it. It's just, I don't think they brought it enough. Okay. It should have gone a little bit more gonzo, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. You got a bonus review tonight, guys. You got a bonus review on top of.
I mean, if you like slasher movies, watch it. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It was just, I don't think it went goofy enough. It should have been a little bit more unhinged.
There you go. There you go. Well, Jason, I would say for this film, this is a little charmer. This is one that, this is one you can pull out at a party conversation. Hey, have you ever seen Blind Fury? Because like you, Jason, there are a lot of people I know that have never seen this film. And it's one of those films that you can share around and go, look, that's a cool little film if you're looking for something fun to watch on a Saturday night.
We need to spread the gospel of Blind Fury.
Of him. And, I'll walk away from him and go, he never really got to stretch himself, Rutger Hauer, emotionally with different characters throughout his career. He was kind of stuck in that slot of being the evil guy. I mean, even in, look how bad he was in Sin City. Like, oh yeah, he was great in that movie, but he was so evil.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So, some people just get pigeonholed, and I think that is
that's unfortunate. Just, like
it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate,
especially after a film like this, where you go, "I'd like to have a beer with that guy," and I don't even drink beer much, but I would definitely like to take him out to dinner. Maybe see a movie. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot he was in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. He was the big bad vampire. He was great in that movie. Yeah. Unfortunately, no longer with us. He passed away about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
He was one of those people, kind of like Tony Todd, that you don't really appreciate until you don't have him anymore.
Yeah.
And then 100%. You realize that something special has passed from the world. Yeah. And he was something special, and he is missed.
Yeah. But, thankfully this film exists. He was great in it. It's a fun film to watch. It's just, it's one that's fairly family friendly. I think if you've got kids over 8, 9, you're probably okay.
They do drop the F-bomb a couple of times.
Yeah, okay. But,
it's
just
okay. Kids, it's nothing more than what kids already hear.
Yeah, go and hear. That's right. Just turn on your TikTok account. Watch my videos on Talking to Me, and you'll learn words that you'd never heard before.
Not my TikTok account. My TikTok account is squeaky clean.
I assume it is. I think mine's pretty clean too, though I did put up a TikTok with the F-bomb a little bit earlier. We'll see what happens.
So it's not squeaky clean anymore.
No,
It's
no,
mud on your
tainted.
windshield.
It's tainted. It's been Australianized. Actually, that's not true. There's a lot of swearing. Every Australian TikTok I see swears like they're supposed to, like they're legally mandated to do. In the
if an Australian did not swear, I would wonder what was wrong. Say the C word twice if you need help.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, do you never trust an Australian that doesn't swear? Do not trust them. They're creepy. They'll ask you to see if you want a lolly as they're opening the back of their van.
You want to go to Sunday school with my son? I volunteer at the church, I do.
That's
Look
creepy.
at this kangaroo right here. You want to pet him? It's like the dude from Wolf Creek. He's too friendly.
Yeah.
Too friendly.
That dude was the host of basically a thing called Play School. So it was for toddlers and, your first 3 years television. So he'd be playing with dollies and singing happy songs. And John Jarrett is like an Australian legend. And then he used to be on it was called Better Homes and Gardens, a variety show where we'd go talk about garden stuff and all that. And then one day he comes out and he's the dude in Wolf Creek. And the whole country dropped their jaw. Because it's basically like having an Australian Rogers, Mr. Rogers.
I was gonna say it's like having Mr. Rogers. Are you having a little trouble going to sleep, Nancy? Do you want me to put you to sleep? Whenever I can't go to sleep, I just think of all the wonderful things in my life.
So yeah, it was always a bizarre thing, and we love him because of that. We love him even more because of he took that risk, and it was fantastic, But yeah, look, I think we both agree. This is great. We got to recommend.
Yeah, loved it.
You loved it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. You're up after now we've done this. We're back with Joe on the next episode for the Legion of Super Pets. So
yes, we're watching the Legion of Super Pets because we're doing a Superman retrospective. But we got to watch a movie with Krypto first because Krypto is part of the Superman legacy.
Well, if you haven't seen Instagram pictures today by James Gunn, I think he's a big part of that movie. So I'm glad we are doing it now.
Oh, we're talking about the Milkbone ads.
Yes.
Yes, those look great.
They look fantastic.
And again, you guys are watching this. We're filming this in May. So you're thinking, wow, that's been out for a month. Yes, they have been.
Yes.
Hello, future. This is the past.
Yeah, sometimes we pretend we try to give ourselves a mindset we're in the future for you guys or in the past. I just get confused. So we are where we are.
Well, if all things go to plan, I should right now, as you're watching this, if you're watching this when it airs, I should be standing on the shores of the Arctic Ocean in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. So we'll see.
I tried to tell him that's a really long way to get to Australia, but he's not listening. So good luck with all that. I'll just say.
Trying to get further away if you want to know the truth. I can still hear the C word echoing across the ocean.
Yeah, mate. We got a few huntsmen are just waiting by the airport for you.
I am going to try to visit Australia in 2026. That is my goal. Is that I'm going to try to get out there.
And then we'll be able to do a live VHS.
What? You're in Adelaide, right?
I'm in the. If you look at the Australian map, and there's a bite at the bottom.
Yes.
We're there. So
all right, Perth it is. I'm going to Perth.
There you go. If you look out of my ocean, the next giant landmass is Antarctica,
which is another place I want to go see.
Absolutely,
it's just really expensive to get there. Super duper expensive to get there.
Yeah.
I was quoted $12,000 for a cabin to share with like 2 other people.
Yeah,
just like, can we at least cuddle on the way up there if it gets cold?
Yeah.
And there's a possibility you won't actually make it because the Drake Passage is so tumultuous.
And the buried sources underneath the sheets of ice down there.
Yeah. And, the fact that you get there and you've got like a multi-headed dog and the person next to you, suddenly their breath doesn't fog in the cold. And
Yeah. You don't know
everybody's wanting a blood sample. And come on.
Like, what do you keep cutting my finger for?
I don't want to deal with that again.
Everyone's there trying to poke you with a soldering iron.
Yeah. Stop poking me. And that's just whenever we're cuddling going to Antarctica.
This was a long-ass way of me asking the question, what did you choose next for the VHS?
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you asked. Well, you see, in our country, we have a holiday that happens every year on July 4th. We call this holiday Independence Day, and it's to commemorate the day that we kicked alien butt. And so we are going to watch a documentary called Independence Day, a Roland Emmerich movie, and it's, well, I mean, come on, it's a Roland Emmerich disaster piece.
It's one of his greatest.
Yes.
Probably the greatest one.
It is definitely up there. I think that just for pure cheese, I think 2012 is better, but you know what? We'll talk about that when we talk about that.
Hey, wait a second. Haven't we done 2012?
We have done 2012. We did that back around New Year's.
You can go back and actually hear what we thought about 2012.
Yes. I loved it. I love 2012. It's so ridiculously stupid. I love it.
So is Independence Day. And I think
it is. The dog must live no matter what.
The other thing with that, I think, and we'll talk about it more when we do talk about the episode, is the undeniable, powerful marketing machine behind that film. It was like the first time I remember since Batman, we had a pop culture zeitgeist event film coming down the pipeline, because Independence Day was that Batman level kind of thing, especially down here. And they were smart with that. Sorry.
They were. It had the best topical marketing I'd ever seen, because back whenever this movie first came out, they had just discovered the fossilized bacteria on Mars, which I don't know if they ever confirmed or not. But within a week of that happening, they showed there was a commercial that showed the boulder. It says, scientists have recently discovered that there is life outside of Earth. And then, you know, scenes from Independence Day. And the announcer goes, well, duh.
Recently, scientists discovered evidence of life on another planet.
Oh my God.
Duh. Independence Day, rated PG-13.
I thought that was fantastic. I was like, I don't care if this movie's going to suck. I'm going to go watch it.
Absolutely. We all did. All right. Well, that'll be great to talk about. So there's lots coming up on the VHS Vault. Jason, let the folks know how they can contribute to being part of what we do here at the VHS Vault.
Why, my friends, all you have to do is visit the video description below. There you will find a link, and in that link you will find a passage to our Patreon. On Patreon, you can pledge as little as $5 a month or more if you wish, and in exchange you get funsies. You get early look at our VH Vault episodes and other fun things. And my absolute favorite, you get the weird stuff that we don't put on YouTube for everyone else, including the poop story that involves sugar-free gummy bears. Because whenever you got sugar-free gummy bears, sugar ain't the only thing that's cut free, let me tell you.
Gotta check it out, guys.
Or you can become a YouTube channel member by visiting our main page.
Brilliant. Excellent. All right, guys. We'll see you next time on the VHS Vault.